It's after work. I finished up a little bit early so I could come out here while there was still a couple of hours of daylight before it gets too cold. I'll go back and just finish up work after this. But I've been looking at these panels. I have made a new one of these to adjust the rear edge to get that nice and straight. I've noticed a problem with my hinge, which I might not be able to demonstrate at the moment, but when this is down and latched, the bonnet hinge isn't straight. I don't even know if you can see that on the camera. It's bowing down. I need to check if it's not just bent, but that's not good. I think maybe what I'll do is I need to make that drip tray that goes under here. I was just going to make that out of sheet metal, but I could make that out of something a little bit more solid, maybe steel channel, and put a make another one of these little sort of tube things and bolt that down to the middle, just to keep that bonnet hinge from sagging. Like I say, I'll check it's not something obvious like it's actually bent, but no, I think it is being pulled down into that shape. The only other way I could think of fixing that is if it is because the metal's pulling it, it could be because these are curving down a little bit, in which case if I wheeled a little bit of shape into here, I think that might help. I'm wondering if what's happened is, as I've done these curves, it's pulled this down. So maybe that's what I need to do. I need to get a straight edge across there. I'm betting this dips down. But to fix this side panel, I've decided the easiest way is just put another hole in the chassis rail here to a bracket. That should be close enough to the back of that panel that it'll hold it nice and still. So on my new panel I've made here, this all needs sanding obviously, I've made a little bracket out of 3mm aluminium. I've just folded it up. It's actually a piece of strap, nice and solid. I've notched out where I've folded this edge over, and what I'm thinking is I will attempt to plug weld this through from the outside to this piece. I'm going to do some tests with that because last time I tried that wasn't as easy as I thought. I think what I need to do is have quite a big hole in the outside. This is what Metal Shaper Tom recommended, if I'm understanding him correctly. You need quite a big hole in the outside, and then you need to start the weld off on here as you weld through. So you go through the hole, start the weld on this, get a nice penetration on that, and then slowly fill it out, build it up, and that should give a nice solid join between the two, and then I can sand that all flush. That bracket's then mounted on there like that, and that'll give me a third fixing point, which I think will fix the problem. I did get my solid rivets, but I don't think I'll use those for this. I think I should be able to weld that in place. The other thing would be, I guess I could try welding all the way around the edge. That might work. Like I say, I've got scraps of aluminium. I can practice and just see what will work. Actually, that might be better, just welding all the way around the edge. And I think that's it for today. No, something else. I have ordered more of these. They're called footman's loops. These ones are just zinc plated. I've actually used some of these inside the car, screwed to the frame, to give me a place to attach wires to. It'll give me an easy place to cable tie wires where you can't see them. So there's a couple of those up underneath the scuttle. But I've ordered some nickel plated ones to use on the car. I've ordered 6 of those because I need 4 at the front, 2 at the back here. And I also ordered a different kind of bonnet lacing. I know 8075, when they rebuilt that, use this different style, and it's the same as used on the Austin 7. So it's this rubber strip, sort of P-shaped strip, and I'm thinking that may be better to use. You see it there as well. The rubber's going a bit funny on this. That may be better to use because it fills in that gap quite nicely, and it's going to stop things rattling. So I've ordered some of that. I'll have a look. I'll see what works best. It's hard to see what they used in period. You can't see that kind of level of detail on the photos, and there aren't any photos close enough up. And of course, these days with all the replicas and rebuilds, who knows what's original. But I'll see if that makes more sense. Not sure. The other thing to mention is YouTube's playing silly buggers for some reason, and I'm not getting notified about comments. I don't get emails anymore telling me there's a comment, and even worse, I don't get emails telling me if I've replied to a comment and someone's replied to that. So if anyone has sent me a message or a comment and I haven't replied, that'll be why. I need to manually go in and check. I think that'll be it for tonight. Figured out the problem here. Yeah. I think you could see the gap there. That's not good. It's interesting. Crown there and low there. So I think a little bit of wheeling in those areas to lift that up. That should fix that. At least I hope so. Which means taking it all apart again. Out working on the car again. I haven't done anything about wheeling the tops of the bonnets yet because I need to take everything apart to do that. So I'm working on the side panel. I've welded in another bracket. I sort of plug welded that through, and that's now bolted to the chassis there, and that's definitely helping. You can see this new panel fits nicely, lines up pretty well at the back. Might need to take a little bit off at the bottom. You can see it's just tightening up a little bit there. That's minor detail, no one's going to notice that. But the problem is down. There's quite a bit of tension on these, so pull these up fairly hard. Here we go. The problem is there's so much tension, it's distorting this, pulling it in. So I think maybe I could rivet a stiffening piece or weld a stiffening piece to the top of that. A little piece of angle. The other thing I thought I could do is weld a little tab down here, just up against the chassis. It only have to be 1/4 of an inch, just to give somewhere to locate that bottom edge. But yeah, you can see it's actually an interesting shape because this now follows the bottom of the chassis rail, but because it kind of curves in, it's always going to be hard to match that up to a straight edged bonnet. So there's going to be that gap there. But I think if I stiffen that top, I think that is bowing in there. I think it's better if this is flush with the bonnet, even if it overhangs the chassis at the bottom a little bit. You can bend it round a little bit, but very awkward sort of shape. I could loosen the tension on this a little bit, I guess, but you want those with a lot of tension on them because that's what's stopping your bonnet rattling. So more fettling required. And from up here, you don't notice that gap, but yeah, the tension on this is bending that piece of aluminium. Have to have another think. A little bit more fettling. This was bent at the top, so I've bent that out. That's helped there a lot better. And I put a little wooden block behind there so this doesn't pull in. So I think I might just be able to fix it by one, having that block in there so this doesn't pull in too far, or else I may be able to fix it just by bending this panel a bit. It may just be that it's, because you can see if I push in here, this comes out. So it may just be that this, no, that's the spring tension pulling that out. That's the problem. You can actually loosen these off a little bit. You can unscrew it at the bottom a bit. Very close. Yeah, I think having that block in there is helping, but I think maybe a bit of shaping on this panel will help as well. Loosen a little bit of the tension off that, because I could always shorten the spring a little bit. I've just realised that's a little bit crooked as well, but oh well. It's almost there. I think I've come up with a better solution. I might remove these two catches altogether, and basically it's going to have the leather straps. It's going to have two of those, so unless they both fail, there's no way the bonnet can come up. And what I might do is put one of these here in the middle down to the chassis. Then that'll pull that straight down. It's not touching this panel at all, which then just sits there as it is now. Bonnet will pull down, makes everything nice and straight. All I have to do is weld up these holes, which is easy. And it's also much easier just to get one catch in place. Trying to wrangle two of them is quite tricky. So I think, yeah, there should be room to do that. It's out of the way of everything. Matches the other side a little bit better. I think I might go with that. It's too late now to start messing around with welding and stuff, so I think I'm going to leave it at that. I might upload this now because shorter films are better, I think. People don't have to suffer through as much of my rambling, and it takes a lot less time for me to upload them. If I upload a 40-minute, 50-minute film, it's basically an overnight upload for me because we're on rural broadband, which isn't very fast.